So the question was, how do I motivate myself to study? Now, I think motivating yourself to study for a long period of time when you aren't studying is an incredibly difficult sell to the self. Primarily because you are probably watching television or doing something that is pretty far away from the task that you're getting ready to do. And the word studying is, to me, branding wise, like, for example, branding is important. Like, milk is milk. It doesn't sound treacherous or bad or anything, but if we called it cow rape juice or something like that, right? Because cows are raped to produce lots of milk, people wouldn't buy it. And I think studying has kind of the same aesthetic. Like, I have to study. It's a compulsory, but not really something that you want to do. It's something that you are doing with the goal of something else rather than the activity itself, right? It's very result oriented rather than process oriented. And every time I frame things like I have to study, I just don't want to do it. I'm literally, it's like a amount of time I'm blocking off so that I can make it pass through some other person. It's not from myself. What I recommend is that you just change the way that you frame it to, I'm gonna read about this for a while. Even if it is to study for exam, right? Like, I'm gonna go read. Reading at least sounds like it's something done under your own volition. Or I'm going to, what else? Find out about this. I'm gonna learn more about that. I'm gonna spend time learning. Learning sounds way better than studying. Learning, the connotations of learning, I learned a lot, I learned a lot, I studied a lot, literally mean the same thing, but have vastly different connotations. So I think the first part about motivation is actually framing the word correctly. The second thing that I would really suggest when dealing with motivating yourself to study is, if you spend a lot of time watching television or like texting friends or whatever, is to take a shower before you study. The reason is that you can kind of get like a blank slate with your mind, and you kind of can slow down the stimulation, because talking with friends, texting, just being on the internet, watching movies, it's very hard to go from that spastic, multi-tab thought process to a more linear, more composed thought process. So an easy way to do this is just to take a quick shower. And don't listen to music in the shower, just take some time. And then while you're in the shower, think about what you're getting ready to learn. And think about what questions you might have. Prime your mind so that your mind has questions. So it's not just an arbitrary, I need to do this right now, right? So I avoid some consequence, right? You want to kind of make it look like the study or the learning is the reward itself, because learning is a reward. I recently made a TikTok that reading is magic. You're literally convening and talking with a dead person. And when you're studying, when you're learning in that way, you're literally having a PhD level person tell you everything that you should know about a subject. That's really cool. That's a privilege that would be incredibly expensive 50 years ago, 100 years ago. I mean, it's still expensive now, but you can get that out of a textbook. And so just like come up with the questions, get really excited about the material. Then what I would do is start small whenever you're like getting into the process of, learning, is start slowly. Start with 5-10 minute increments of focusing on what you're doing so that you can get into the flow. Take a small break, then as soon as you're like, this break's been going on a little bit long, then start again and kind of just expand it out longer and longer. But you wanna ease yourself into the process so it's more, the ideas are more accessible and you're having a good time. And yeah, so those are like some of the ways I recommend to kind of enjoy studying, and also like learn stuff that's just not necessarily like it's the same subject, but it's like on the periphery. Just like Google some of those things to start. There's like something that might not be what you're covering, but just to pique your interest in ancillary subjects, things that are